Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our amazing discussion on the nature of life, the foolishness of most people, and our own foolishness in knowing what to do and not always doing it. So, in a sense, sometimes Prabhupada would say we're more foolish because if you don't know what to do and you don't do it, you're not so foolish. You're just ignorant. But if you know what to do and you don't do it, then you can be called a real fool. So we have been discussing our false ego, materialistic concepts, and why that makes us fearful of dying and leaving our body, and so forth. And yesterday we had discussed a little bit about the past life of one devotee who was living with us today, who remembered the past life, and that was interesting. We had also discussed yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, about a man who was chanting the name of a company when he died that he had investments in, and Prabhupada said that he had become maybe a rat in the building of that company. And I had just read something today which was similar. Prabhupada, I believe he must have been in New York when he was saying this. They're talking about the skyscrapers. The big high-rise apartments. He said, you may live in these high-rise apartments, and perhaps in your next life, because you're attached to the apartment, you come back as a cockroach in that apartment. And everyone was laughing. And of course, Prabhupada was joking, but also in some sense serious. So we today plan to read a few things that Rabindranath Prabhu had said, and quoting Prabhupada. And then we are going to begin our study of not what happens at the time of death, what happens after death. The nature of the spiritual world. That's what we're going to discuss today. Depending on the number of questions and how the topics go, because sometimes they get sidetracked in a good way, and we discuss things within a broader context. So you may be wondering, if you're just tuning in or you haven't heard us from the beginning, how could you be talking about dying? You're talking about dying longer than it takes to die. And we've been talking about it for months, because the context is not just what happens at death, but so many things that relate to that. So we've had, I think, very, very not only interesting discussions, but we've had enlightening discussions and broadened our perspective, and it's helped us overcome a lot of fears about dying. And of course, ultimately, we know we don't die. So there's really, maybe we should cancel this class because it's a false premise at the time of death. You're giving a class at the time of death, but you don't die. You're bogus. Fired. Finished. No. Yeah, you could say that. Why are you talking about death? Death doesn't exist. It's not a reality. So that's also one of the conclusions we have come to. And if you can come to that conclusion, you're doing very well in your Krishna consciousness. So now we're going to chant, begin our class. We always chant Jai Radha Madhava and meditate on Vrindavan and Radha and Krishna. That's our goal. And by dying, you get to go back to Radha and Krishna. So as they say, everyone wants to go to heaven and no one wants to die. Well, if you want to go back to Krishna in his Leela, you have to give up this body, because this body doesn't work. See my t-shirt. It says Festival of the Holy Name. This was in Alachua. And you see it backwards, right? Or should I turn it inside out and then you'll see it forwards? How does that work? If I had a camera, then you would see it properly. The phones turn everything around. Maybe if I was using not the lens, not the inside phone lens, the outside, it wouldn't turn around. I don't know. Okay. So, yeah. So, obviously, if you want to go back to Godhead, you have to give up the present body. But nobody wants to die. But if you don't die, you don't go back to Godhead. So, what to do? Best you want the best of both worlds. Well, the best of both worlds is you live in Krishna consciousness in this life, which means you've already gone back to Godhead in this life. You're liberated, although in the body. In the time of death, there's no difference. It means you're already with Krishna. So anyway, I think that's funny. Allows you to flip the image so that you won't appear. Okay, how do I get there? I'm going to hit, in trying to set this setting, we may totally lose all of you. So, is it too late now? I didn't know that. That would be fantastic. Is it too late to get there? Because what's on the bottom of my phone is Festival of the Holy Names. Too late to flip now. Okay, so you can send me a message later and then tell me how to flip. Okay, so I put new strings on my guitar, and to celebrate the new strings on my guitar, we are going to chant Jai Radha Madhava with the guitar. How's that sound? Sound like a plan? All right, let's try it. See if we can do it. When I joined the movement, I had quite a good guitar, and I donated it to the temple. And that was sold. And when I was temple president, we had people joining who donated very good guitars that today would be worth like $3,500. And we just sold them at that time for $250. Gives you an idea of the cost of living. Radha Madhava. Okay, it's time for me to take my anti-croaking medicine all the way from Taiwan. Actually, you see this? It was just a big ball like this, and then PC from Taiwan chopped it up in little pieces. And you're saying, what does it taste like? Tastes like something sweet, some menthol, some strange Chinese herbs, and rubber. Digestible, dissolvable rubber. That's basically what it tastes like. Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Obitana Bhalabha Girivaradhari Obitana Bhalabha Girivaradhari Chisodanandana Vachajana Ranjana Shodhanandana Vajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari. Excuse me. Jai Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Gopi Jana Bhalava Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Bhalava Girivara Shodhananandana Braja Janaranjana Shodhananandana Braja Janaranjana Yasauranandana Braja Janaranjana Yasauranandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Radha Madhava ki jai. Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Out of tune. Sometimes our life's out of tune, isn't it? And everything we do sounds bad. Ever have that experience? Your life's out of tune, you're doing something wrong, and it sounds bad. Yeah, sometimes you have to tune up your life. Then if you have a bad guitar, it's in tune in one place, but in another place it's out of tune. So you play it. Some frets it's in tune, some frets it's out of tune. So some parts of your life, they work, and other parts don't. And all my life's in tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time, everyone together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Go Prem Anandi Hari Hari Bo. Keep your life in tune like you keep your guitar in tune. And make sure every chord you play is in tune. And everywhere you play on your guitar, it's it's in tune. That means it's a good guitar. Now it's in tune. Okay. Party's over. Now we get serious. As you know, I'm very serious, right? Hare Krishna. So I have to bring up the document we're reading from. And Kamaniya, did we finish reading? I believe we finished reading from the document at the time of death. Is that true? Correct? Correcto? And now we can read from the document titled Rabindra Sarup, and the other one entitled In the Spiritual World. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. In the spiritual world. This document in the spiritual world is going to be amazing. It's just like going to spin our world around. You're going to love it, but we're not ready to read that yet. Yes, we've finished. Okay, so we're going to read something Rabindra Sarup Prabhu wrote, which mostly consists of a quote from Srila Prabhupada. And this section is entitled Face the Facts. It's time for the facts, only the facts, and nothing but the facts. When I was a kid, we had a television show. I forgot the name. And they had this line in the show. It was an investigative show, a police show. We want the facts, only the facts, and nothing but the facts. That's what they would say. We want the facts, only the facts, and nothing but the facts. So we're going to get the facts, only the facts, and nothing but the facts. Are you ready for the facts? I don't remember how much you read. Probably nothing. I think I only read one line. Okay, so usually when we don't remember what we read, we remember by reading it again, and then we remember, oh, we read that. And then I say, do you remember anything that we read? And then because we read it, we remember it. But as we've said a few times before, it doesn't matter because it always helps to read again. So this section is entitled Face the Facts. So it's hard for us to accept our mortality. For that reason, Krishna actually lists it as one of the items of knowledge. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanudharshanam. Knowledge of the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease. That is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 9. He felt it necessary to list it, even though it is obvious to everyone. Well, maybe not so obvious to everyone. I mean, it's obvious. It's so obvious nobody sees it. He felt it necessary to list it, even though it is obvious to everyone. In other words, what is the translation? Knowledge of the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease. I think perhaps the more accurate understanding is consciousness, awareness of it. Knowledge in this sense, to my understanding, means not that you know it, because we already know, but awareness of it, or awareness of the evil of it, that it's not the great thing you may have thought it to be, but it's actually evil. Wow, that's interesting. Why don't hold on? I want to go to that verse, because this word evil, I don't know, some people may use the word evil to mean good, and in slang, wow, that word evil is evil, meaning it's good. I want to look up the Sanskrit for that verse, just to see how that word evil is translated. So this is chapter 13, text 9. Well, it's actually comes in a package, apparently. Is it 9? No. 13:9. It's it comes in a package with other verses of the items of knowledge. So I'm just looking up. Here is the Sanskrit. Janma, mritu, jara, vyadi, dukkha. Oh, the distress. The word is dukkha, dosha. I know this verse. I should remember. Dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. Observing. Yeah. So observing. So the word is anudarshanam, like we say darshan, to see. So seeing the misery, being aware of it, be conscious of it, be not only, you may know it's misery, but you may forget, or you may not know it's miserable, and you need to know it is. And then once you know it is, it's basically Krishna saying, don't forget. Don't forget, you're getting old, there's disease, and there's death. As we said in the last class, that in order to enjoy in material life, you have to forget these things, because these things are not enjoyable. You want to go to the movies tonight? Yeah, but we could die tonight, so I don't think we should go. What's wrong with you? You're such a pessimist. You just like rain on everyone's parade. So basically that's what Krishna's saying, rain on everyone's parade. Every this is another Bhakta Burfi, right? Hey, Bhakta Burfi, you want to do this? Yeah. You want to pakora? Yeah, but I could die right now, so yeah, I don't think so. Of course, in a sense, it's not Bhakta Burfi, because Krishna's saying, this is what will help you become renounced. But if you want to enjoy the material world, I have some advice for you. Ignorance is really the medicine for material enjoyment. Because if you forget everything about the material world, it's possible to illusion yourself into thinking you're happy. But if you actually see the evils of birth, old age, disease, and death, rain on your parade, sorry, party's over, you can't enjoy it. I think I may have given this example before. Let's say you're about to eat your favorite food, which is really unhealthy. Unfortunately, the way this world works is like many of our, maybe not most, but many of our favorite foods are the most unhealthy things we could eat. So, you're about to eat your favorite unhealthy food, and I come and I grab your arm, I pull it away. I say, do you know that is full of, and I give you a list of 108 ingredients that could kill you. Within the next 3 years, you'll be dead. Do you want to hear that? Does that make you happy that I pulled your arm away as you were about to eat it? So why are you telling me all these things? Now I can't enjoy this because now I know this is going to kill me. Well, that's the point. It's going to kill you. That's why I told you that. But you just ruined it for me. If I didn't know, I could enjoy it. Right? If you want to enjoy junk food, don't read the labels, because if you read the labels, you'll read all the ingredients that sound like ingredients that it seems like would go into the making of an atomic bomb, right? You can't even pronounce them, what to speak of understand them. So that's exactly how material life works. It requires a certain level of ignorance, right? Because if I'm walking around thinking, oh, woe is me, birth, it's horrible. These poor souls are coming back again after 9 months in the womb. Oh, this is horrible. Some lady's pregnant, your next door neighbor's pregnant, and you do the Bhakta Burfi. Oh, this is so bad, it's so horrible. Another conditioned soul is taking birth. Oh, how could you do that to this poor thing? What's wrong with you? You shouldn't have any children. Bring them into this horrible world. Oh my God. If you thought like that, people would could you leave? Could you just get out of my life? You'll rain on everyone's parade. You get out of the hospital, you're cured, you had the operation, everything's a success, and you say, yeah, but you're going to get sick again. You know, they just get married. Yeah, but you're going to get old. And you're going to have all kinds of fights. You probably get divorced. You know, who goes around talking like that? And who would want anyone around you talking like that? But that's what Krishna's saying here. He's saying, darshan, take darshan. I'm having darshan. What did you have darshan? Birth, old age, disease, and death. I'm taking darshan of it. I'm seeing it. I'm aware of it. It's not, I haven't relegated it to a part of my brain where it just gets locked and the door gets shut and I don't notice it. So that's what Krishna's saying. Interesting, isn't it? Spiritual life and material life are completely different. And material life is all about, if you want, okay, we'll just make it simple. If you want to enjoy the material world, then don't follow this instruction. Instead of janma mritu jaravyade dukkha dosh anudarshanam, we would have to say, don't have darshan, don't see, don't perceive, don't observe the misery, the dukkha of janma mritu jaravyadi, birth, old age. Don't. If you want to enjoy it, don't. Don't think about it, don't see it, don't talk about it. Just put it out of your mind, because if it's in your mind, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to be like, wait a minute, like, how could I enjoy this? Because I know all the bad things in this bread or this cake. So it's like that. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. Welcome, Pretty. I just want to forget. That's where the saying came, ignorance is bliss. It's amazing. You know, that saying, ignorance is bliss, you just unpack it. It's an amazing sutra, because there's so much in that. And it's so true that sometimes if you want to be happy, you just have to numb yourself to everything material. And that's why drugs, intoxication is so powerful. Also, sex is a big drug. Hobbies are big drugs, sports, big, just forget. Movies, just forget. The better you are at forgetting your misery, Prabhupada said, the better you are at forgetting your misery, the happier you'll be. So, not that you're really, so-called happy, not that you really be happy, but you forgot all your misery, so it makes you feel good. It doesn't mean the misery is not there, you're just not observing it. You're doing exactly what Krishna told you not to do. I do not observe. I have a strict policy that I do not observe birth, old age, disease, and death. I strictly do not observe it, because if I did, it would totally ruin my happiness. So, ignorance is bliss is my philosophy. That's what Krishna is saying here. Ignorance and bliss is not the way. It's not knowledge. Ignorance is not knowledge. Yeah, that was a profound statement. Okay, so we got that clear, I think, and then I'll get to your comments in a minute. So Rabindra Swarup goes on to say, Prabhu goes on to say, Krishna felt it necessary to list it. He felt it necessary to list it, even though it is obvious to everyone. Hamlet's mother rebukes her son for his prolonged mourning for his late father by saying, quote, "Thou knowest 'tis common," she says. "All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." In other words, why are you lamenting? You should know this was going to happen. It happens, and it, so what's your problem? What's your problem? Huh? Why are you crying? What's your problem? I mean, everybody dies. What's wrong with you? Get over it. That's, how we've degraded the English language. You take Shakespeare, who says it eloquently, and we say, get over it, all right? What's wrong with you? You're not, we take Shakespeare and say, what's wrong with you? You can't see? Get over it, okay? Here's what Srila Prabhupada says. I think this is from the purport of 13.9. One should try to understand the distresses of accepting birth, death, old age, and disease. There are descriptions in various Vedic literatures of birth. In Srimad Bhagavatam, The world of the unborn, the child's stay in the womb of the mother, its suffering, and so on, are all very graphically described. It should be thoroughly understood that birth is distressful. Because we forget how much distress we have suffered within the womb of the mother, we do not make any solution to the repetition of birth and death. We definitely forget. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kinds of sufferings, and they are also mentioned in the authoritative scriptures. These should be discussed. Someone is thinking, that's pretty morbid, literally, to discuss. And Prabhupada saying, and Krishna saying, no, sit down, everybody sit down. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a talk. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about death and disease and old age. Make a poster. See how many people you get to come to your, let's do an experiment. We'll create a Facebook group called Birth, Old Age, Disease, and Death. See how many people join it. We're going to give a seminar on the miseries, we'll call it Observing the Miseries of Birth, Old Age, Disease, and Death. How many people you think will join? And whoever joins probably is pretty sadistic, right? Yeah, I love this topic, death. I love it. Yeah. So, isn't it interesting? But for us, it's a point of enlightenment, a point of clarity, and a point of inspiration in our Krishna consciousness to go back to Krishna. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kinds of sufferings, and they are also mentioned in the authoritative scriptures. These should be discussed. As far as disease and old age are concerned, everyone gets practical experience. And how do you get practical experience of old age? Look in the mirror. Practical experience. Look at a picture of yourself 20 years ago. Practical experience. You're getting older. No one wants to be diseased and no one wants to become old, but there is no avoiding these. Or feel your body. It doesn't have the energy in it. It doesn't, I have a problem here with my finger. I went to the doctor yesterday because it kind of got swollen and something happened. He says, so we have to take an x-ray. He's not sure. And I said, what do you think it is? And he says, probably you chipped a bone. And I said, chipped a bone? He said, yeah, when they chip bones in their fingers, nobody even knows. And he said, look you're 70 years old, your bones chip. They're not the same as when you were younger. They crack, they're more brittle, they crack. So, okay, I'm perceiving right here the miseries of old age. So it's, as Prabhupada said, everyone has experience. Unless we have a pessimistic view of this unless we have a pessimistic view of this material life, considering the distresses of birth, old age, and disease, and death, there's no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life. So I think this is one of the most important statements that Prabhupada makes in all his books. Okay, let's just dissect this for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'll take your questions, and then what Kamaniya has there, we will read if we have time. But I want to dissect this statement. I've talked about this extensively based on my own realizations, and I told the story of South Africa for those of you who've forgotten this story or haven't heard it before. It's a very interesting story. I went from San Diego, California, which is Southern California, a beach town, surfer town, to Johannesburg, South Africa, in 1981. At that time, South Africa was under apartheid, and the white people, the people whose skin was this color, had the life of Lord Brahma. And the black and colored people were basically their slaves, more or less. They got slave wages and all the bad jobs. And the white people owned mostly all the businesses and had all the good jobs, so they had all the money. Extremely wealthy country at that time. And He was so wealthy. And it was the life for white people is very good. You have tons of money and tons of slaves. Oh, that sounds good, The salary a black person would earn was 5 rand a day. A rand at that time was worth $1.30. Now it's takes 3 zillion rands to make $1. But then it was worth $1.30. So a wealthy country. And they were making 5 rands, which was like $6.50 a day in 1980. That was not per hour, per day. So you could understand that every white person could afford 5 rands a day or 10 rands a day to have a few. They called them servants, but really basically like slaves almost. They didn't treat them like slaves, but that's slave wages. So they had this amazing life. They had all these people doing their gardening, washing their cars, cleaning their houses, cooking. They didn't have to lift a finger, and they're making tons of money. It was such a good economy, and they owned all the businesses. And so before I went there, the devotee said that it's really hard to make someone a devotee, and it's really hard if you do make them a devotee for them to stay amongst the white people because they live this luxurious life. And so I went there and I found that to be true. And then later I went to England and it was just the opposite. Nobody had a job. Many people did not have jobs, did not have money. The weather was miserable. And so many people were becoming devotees. So I had practical experience of this statement. There is no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life unless we have a pessimistic view of material life. I would say also, unless we experience, not just having a pessimistic view, but unless we experience it. So, what is Prabhupada saying? He's saying, ladies and gentlemen, do not be optimistic about material life. That's basically what he's saying. So, if you're optimistic about material life, that is not Krishna consciousness at all. Don't be optimistic about material life because there's nothing to be optimistic about. Okay? All right, you got that? Don't be optimistic about material life, because if you are, you're going to be let down sooner or later. Be optimistic about becoming Krishna conscious, not about becoming materially happy. Becoming materially happy is really hard work, because you get everything set up just perfect, and then something goes wrong. Everything's set up, and you get that phone call. Disaster just happened. Okay, I'm going to stop reading there. I'm going to read what you're saying because I think the next points may divert slightly from this topic. All right, let's just read it. It'll be, because if I go to your questions, I may never get back to this. If we finish reading this today, then that would be better. So let me continue reading, then I'll get to your questions. I like your questions or comments. I like to read them in the context of what we're discussing. And if I go on to another slightly different topic, then when I go back to what you're saying, it seems to lose some of the power of the context of the discussion because we went on. But hopefully this will continue the same topic. The great 17th century French philosopher, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Blaise Pascal. Blaise Pascal, who was a theologian and a mathematician, observed, men are so necessarily mad. Okay, you want me to read without the accent. Who was also a theologian and a mathematician, observed, men are so necessarily mad, meaning insane, that not to be mad would amount to another form of madness. Whoa, isn't that interesting? Prabhupada said, everybody's crazy. So, if you become not crazy, that will be considered by everyone to be crazy. Because crazy simply means you're not like everyone else. So, I'll read that again. Men are so necessarily mad, necessarily means because they're after material life, that not to be mad would amount to another form of madness. Like, why aren't you interested in all these things? You don't care about, you don't care about this material thing and that material thing. What's wrong with you? We have to take you to the psychologist. You're crazy. Yeah, that's a good kind of crazy. In other words, if we looked at the world around us as it truly is, we would go crazy. Oh, that's another interpretation. Maybe that's the right term interpretation. Yeah, men are so necessarily mad, meaning insane, that not to be mad would amount to another form of madness. In other words, oh yeah, so at least that's his interpretation. That if we actually saw the world as it is, we would go crazy. Of course, we don't go crazy because we have a context in which to see it. So if we saw actually, focused on birth, old age, disease, and death, we go crazy. Okay, and so Rabindranath Prabhu says, therefore we sustain our necessary delusions, but devotees need to become disillusioned. When I go into a gorgeous day, I think to myself, oh, it's a nice day in Martyaloka, the world or planet of death. So I don't forget, just another day in Martyaloka. There was a song by Phil Collins, Dr. Phil Collins. Just another day for you and me in paradise. You know that song? It's about a homeless woman. Everyone's neglecting her. And just for us, it's paradise. For her, it's hell. But it's just another day for you and me in Martyaloka. Martya means death, the planet of death. That is a Bhakta Burfi. Bhakta Burfi, how you doing today? It's just another day in Martyaloka. How about a t-shirt for that? It's just another day in Martyaloka. Hare Krishna. It's interesting, isn't it, that we can speak about these things and not be like maladjusted going around. Say, yeah, it's just another day. It's just another day on the planet of death. If you were an ordinary person saying like that, you wouldn't be able to function. But for us, it's like, yeah, we're in Krishna consciousness. So we're blissful. We're happy. So these things are just, they don't bother us at all. They actually inspire us. It's interesting, isn't it? What would drive someone crazy for us is actually an inspiration. Isn't that interesting? Do you find that interesting? I find that very interesting. And it confirms what Krishna says. Everything for the devotee is opposite as it is for the non-devotee. What would drive them crazy actually inspires us to be more Krishna conscious. Very interesting. Okay. My dear friends of Martyaloka, we were going to continue reading. My friend and godbrother Sundarupa Das once related to me his experience on a December morning in 1985. He was with a group of devotees in Rome's Da Vinci airport, checking into an El Al flight to Jerusalem, when terrorists, later identified as belonging to the Abu Nidal organization, launched an attack on the Israeli airline at its boarding area. Whoa. Bet he didn't expect that when he woke up in the morning. A crowd of passengers stood before the gate, patiently enduring the slow and careful Israeli security checks. In the open dining area of an adjacent restaurant, breakfasters looked on as travelers waited and loved ones parted or reunited. Into this utterly ordinary, peaceful scene, comforting in its familiarity, 4 men entered, striding towards the El crowd. In other words, I don't have more. Do I have more? I have more. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, it's getting exciting, isn't it? Oh, yeah, this is like, it's just another normal day. Just another normal day in hell, Prabhu. Yeah. It's just like we know this. You sit back and think, this life is so weird because anything could happen on any day. It's just, a normal day. Going to the airport, and all of a sudden there's terrorists. Listen to what the terrorists were doing. They had grenades appeared in their hands, and they released them in unison with a low, underhand bowler's pitch that sent them rolling and tumbling along the floor between the waiting passengers' feet. Oh my Govinda. In a second, everything changed. The place filled with percussions, flashes, and flying body parts. Victims' screams became overwhelmed by the chattering of the terrorist assault rifles, whose streams of bullets tore through the living and the dead. Italian security arrived to let loose with their own automatic weapons, killing 3 terrorists, but adding a much higher number to the total of killed and wounded. So they ended up killing, sounds like what he's saying is they ended up killing innocent bystanders when they were trying to kill the terrorists. None of the devotees were hurt. This was the first thing Sundarup remarked on when he recalled the event for me. The second thing was how a peaceful, reassuring scene of ordinary life could be so instantly transmogrified into chaos and carnage. It was a revelation. Yet we remain in denial. There's an impressive book by Ernest Becker called The Denial of Death. A Pulitzer Prize winner publisher in 1973. Much of the book is based on the writings of Otto Rank, a psychoanalyst and philosopher. He began as one of the closest disciples of Sigmund Freud, but later rejected him, holding that Freud's focus on sexuality was superficial and that deeper things were going on in human life. For Rank, one of the central driving features of human society was the denial of death, and he pointed out that most human projects are endeavors to reinforce that denial. Immortality projects, God projects. Isn't that interesting when you think about that statement? I'll read that again. One of the central driving features of human society for Rank was the denial of death. And he pointed out that most human projects are endeavors to reinforce that denial. Immortality projects, God projects. Okay, yeah, and that's what I was saying. Yeah, well, how can we forget reality? If you can forget reality, that's called happiness. And if you remember reality, that's called depression, because reality is so depressing. Except when you become a devotee, reality becomes an inspiration. So most of the things we're doing, if not all, materially, or maybe not us, but those who are not Krishna conscious, are projects in helping them forget their mortality. You're going into the football game, right? They're taking your ticket. Thank you, sir. You know you could die tonight. Like, there would be like a protest. That guy would lose his job. Somebody would kill him. Why are you telling people? Because it's true. I'm just telling them the truth. It's just the facts. What's your problem? That would be Bhakta Burfi, gets a job, right? He's taking tickets. You could die tonight. Anything could happen to you, right? I'm writing these down. It's probably not that funny, right? But you get my point. Bhakta Burfi, Hare Krishna. I just wanted to remind you of something you may have forgotten. That you could die at any moment. Okay. That's such an interesting statement, isn't it? Everything we're doing materially is just to cover up the birth, old age, just so we can forget. Isn't that interesting? I find that so interesting. Well, Krishna is saying this is what you should see, and everything we do is so we don't see it. Don't you find that interesting? Like, think about it. The psychology of material life is like how we can take birth, old age, disease, and death, put it in a little box and like hide it and go about our lives not thinking about it. And the better we can forget it, the more happier we'll be. So what does happiness mean? What is your definition of happiness? Forgetting that there's old age, disease, and death, and you're going to take rebirth. If you can perfectly forget it, you'll be happy. That's why alcohol and drugs are so popular, because they really work in for helping you forget. Okay. It seems like We have more to read. Let's just read it. Let's get it over with. Let's push it through because it's all on this one topic. One of Ivan Leach's closest friends. Who's Ivan Leach? Ivan. We'll find out. One of Ivan Leach's closest friends attends his funeral. Tolstoy notes. Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy. He did not look once at the dead man, did not yield to any depressing influence, and was one of the first to leave the room. It's just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to see it. I don't want to think about death. When I've attended funerals amongst materialists, I've detected a barely suppressed eagerness to get it over with and to forget. Makes sense. They hasten to return home, and immediately the alcohol and the food come out, and a sort of strenuous commitment to forgetfulness and enjoyment and life presides as the ruling spirit. If English isn't your first language, Pravendra Swarup is an amazing writer, but it may be a little difficult. It's just he's saying things poetically. I find it poetic. They hasten to return home. It means they just want to get home fast. And immediately the alcohol and the food come out, and a sort of strenuous commitment to forgetfulness. It's like, okay, we're trying. Strenuous means I'm straining to try to forget the funeral. So the alcohol and the food should help me. And enjoyment of life presides as the ruling spirit. And now when we fully forget, we can enjoy. Well put. We approach people and request them to surrender to Krishna. But the truth is they have no alternative because, as Prabhupada points out, at the time of death, everyone surrenders to Krishna. They may say, I won't give up my vehicles, my houses, my yachts, my stable of racehorses, my jewelry, my securities, my gold bars. I'm not going to bow down to anybody. Nevertheless, what happens at the time of death? First of all, every bit of it is taken away, a clean sweep. Your possessions, your wealth, your fabulousness, your pride, you have no choice. If all can be so thoroughly taken away, what is the meaning of your ownership? Hare Krishna. Well said. You must get humble at the time of death because you're meeting Krishna. I was listening to a lecture yesterday, and Prabhupada said, Ivan Dominic Ilyich was a 20th century polymath, polyglot philosopher. What does that mean? Testing my educational skills here. My education knowledge, Roman Catholic priest, theologian, historian, polemic, teacher, writer, and critic of the institutions of modern something. Yeah, okay. He was someone who was thinking, using his brain. So I was listening to this lecture this morning, or yesterday morning, and Prabhupada was talking about atheists. You don't believe in God. You say there is no God. And Prabhupada said, yes, for you there is no God, but you will meet him at the time of death. You will see him as death. Don't worry. You will meet him. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am all devouring death. Mrityu Sharva Harashchaham. This is how most people meet Krishna, in that form. Because they don't want us to surrender to him voluntarily, now they must do it in this way. At the time of death, they are stripped of all they thought they owned, and then they fall down flat. It is dandavats to Krishna, albeit a little sloppy. But they bow down by force, really. There is no choice. In a sense, by becoming devotees, we also accomplish our death. We willingly enter the process of divesting ourselves of all our false possessions. So, what Brenda Prabhu was saying here, when you become a devotee, it's like you kind of go through a process of death. You give up things, you give up false ego, give up identifying with your possessions and so forth. So, it's like you're dying before you're dying. And so when we die, it's like we already died. It's like, oh, I've already been there, done that. You know, you're leaving your body. Yeah, I've been there, done that. You can't take anything away from me. In my head, I don't own it. It's like I've got nothing. I'm not losing anything. In a sense, by becoming devotees, we also accomplish our death. We willingly enter the process of divesting ourselves of all our false possessions. And when we surrender ourselves wholeheartedly to Krishna, we meet him as our most wonderful and enchanting lover or companion or child. This is the wonderful process of surrender. It is true that in the beginning, giving up our material attachments and our false ego may seem like death. Of course, we discover that what dies is only the mislabeled self, constructed of material illusions, and its dying discloses the eternal spiritual self. So that's beautiful. Rabindranath Prabhu is saying, actually nothing dies, and what is actually happening is you're living, but you have to get things out of the way. You got to get the trash out of the way, move this stuff out, and then pick the weeds, and then the plant can grow. So renunciation, giving up, is just 2 points. We have to give it up anyway. Might as well give it up now, because then we can get the jewel of Krishna consciousness. So by giving up, you're getting something. But by not giving up, you don't get it. Did you get what I said? You have to give up to get Krishna consciousness, but we're afraid to give up, and then we don't get Krishna consciousness. Well, Krishna consciousness is better than what you're holding on to. So if you give up what you're holding on to, you get something better, so better give it up. And if you don't give it up, Krishna will take it away at the time of death, so better you give it up voluntarily than by force. I think that is a rap song. What do you think? Give it up, better give it up now, because Krishna's going to take it later. Give it up, it's not yours. If you give it up, you will get the gem of bhakti. Something like that. So we always think, when you think giving up is very negative, right? Giving up means nothing. But it's like this. Here's the keys. This is the key to my 2008 Toyota. That's car's 12 years old. It's got 145,000 miles. It's a fine car. I'm not complaining. Here are my keys. I'm holding on. And you come along and say, Prabhuji, I will give you a brand new 2020 Toyota. The best Toyota made. Toyota Avalon. So just drop your keys. Drop your keys. And I'll give them to you. And I say, I'm really attached. I can't. I say, but if you don't open your hand and drop your keys, I can't give you the better car. I don't know. I'm really attached. How do I know you're going to give me a better car? How do I know it's going to be better? Maybe it's worse. Maybe I won't like it. Maybe it won't make me happy. That's what we're doing. Krishna's saying, drop it, and I will put something better. I don't have any better keys here, but let's say these are the keys to the new car. I'll put the keys to the new car. And we're saying, I don't know. I'll just hold on to these. So the idea of, if you reframe the idea of surrender, we did this yesterday into shelter, but there's another reframing. You reframe the idea of surrender into receiving something better. I surrender just means get rid of what I don't need. What do you, like Jayadvaita Swami said, when you become a devotee, people say, it's so hard, you have to give up so much. He said, no, you don't have to give up much. Just birth, old age, disease, and death. That's all you have to give up. So I'm surrendering to Krishna. What am I giving up? Birth, old age, disease, and death. Okay, sounds like a good deal. I think I'll surrender. What do you think? Does that make sense? Yeah. And then what do you get in return? Oh, I give up birth, old age. Okay, here's the thing. Like, bring in your used car, and we'll give you a new one. So the used car is birth, old age, disease, and death. Bring in your birth, old age, disease, and death, and we'll give you eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Is that fair? Is that a good trade? Willing to do that? Surrender. Surrender, Prabhu. What am I surrendering? Birth, old age, disease, and death. What am I getting? Knowledge, eternity, and bliss. Okay, sounds like a deal. I'll take it. How much does it cost? Nothing. Just faith. Just all you have to do is just give up the old stuff, put out your hand, and I'll put in the keys to the new car. Put out your hand. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, two hands. Hare Ram, Ram. That's it. That's what's being said here. I know what you're saying is true, but it's not so easy. And get that thing working. Get this oil it with this understanding. Get a tune-up, get it working, get it functioning. Then this will all make sense. Just surrender. Give up your misery. Just surrender. Wow, we have a problem here. Oh, okay, no problem. Just surrender, give up your misery. Surrender your birth. What am I surrendering? Turn in your old car, birth, old age, disease, and death. Get a new one. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Sounds like a deal to me. Okay, so I'm going back. You have to bear with me. Many comments, many devotees. Welcome to all of you, even though I don't mention your names. I see that you're here. And I appreciate your coming and listening and trying to be better devotees. Okay. Remove mirror image. Well, if I can remove the mirror image, I can wear a new t-shirt every day. I have all kinds of t-shirts. I can wear t-shirts with sayings on them that I said, that Priya made for me, that I don't even know what they mean. I had to ask her, what does that mean? Because sometimes I say things in the context, and when I get it on the t-shirt, she made t-shirts for me, I don't even know what it meant. Hare Krishna. Lauren, where are you, Lauren? Where are you? Komate looks really happy. Okay. I think I'm going through the comments when we're doing the kirtan. Okay. I have to go back, otherwise I want to get a message. You missed my message. Okay, I'm getting applauded. Well, kirtan wasn't that great. I mean, kirtan's always sweet, but... So, Kamaniya says, you are so right. Prabhu, coming to Krishna consciousness totally ruined my capacity to enjoy so many of the material enjoyments that I used to hanker after. I'm still working on letting go of the desires to taste. Desires of the taste buds. Yeah, those are hard to let go. It's okay, just don't eat too much. Just eat to the first burp. After the first burp, that's it. Party's over after the first burp. You have to stop eating. And Preeti says, I'm sailing on the same boat. I think it was, the boat of what? I can't give up? Something like that. Here's the point, Preeti and everyone. If we can't give up something, no, but we have to give it up. Krishna will take it away. And it's always better to do it before Krishna does it. Because then you get bonus points. If Krishna takes it away, it's like, no bonus points for you. You didn't do it, he did it. Right? It's like I'm a thief and I say, can you give a donation? And you say no. And say, well, look, you could either give it voluntarily and get the benefit, or I can just steal it from you right now. So which one do you want to do? You're going to have to give it anyway. And they're like, okay, well, that's the case here. Thank you, sir. Yeah, not that we collect donations that way, but if we did, then I think, okay, I should give it voluntarily. That's better than having him steal it from me or force me to give it. So, better we give it to Krishna before he takes it away and get the benefit. I think that's smart. Don't you think that's smart? The evils of distress and suffering. Yeah, evils, dukkha. Well, the word is dukkha. Actually, the miseries, we should observe them. We should take darshan, observe the miseries. What an unpopular topic. Observing the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. Put that ad out there. Not a popular topic. In doing, if you're doing marketing, you want to do Facebook videos and go viral, you want to talk about something that is like of interest to people, right? I don't know if that's really interesting to people. Maybe it is, and I just don't realize it, but it doesn't sound like it is. It sounds like we said, we're interested in not observing. The guilt feeling comes when we want to enjoy material enjoyment, like watching Netflix. Yeah, Bhagavatam is better than Netflix, is all I can say. And you don't have to feel guilty, Gomati. Just don't do it, and you won't feel guilty. Solve the whole problem. What do I do when I do this and I feel guilty? Stop doing it and you won't feel guilty. That was a brilliant statement. You come to me, how could I do this and not feel guilty? I'm not going to say, well, this is how you should think so you could do it and not feel guilty. If it's causing you to feel guilt, probably it means you shouldn't be doing it. Right? Okay, so I have a question from Krishna Karshini or a comment, or both. You said that to take pleasure, we have to be in ignorance. It's also said that two groups of people are happy in the material world, those who are in ignorance and those who are liberated. It seems that the average devotee is not a part of two groups, not in ignorance that much anymore, and not liberated. How to survive this state, become liberated. We're not able to enjoy gross material sense gratification anymore. And we're not enjoying fully spiritually. Sometimes devotees may even envy non-devotees because they seem to be more happy than us. You know what I think? I think that I'm going to do a daily video on this topic, finding your Dharma. I think, did I tell you the other night I'm working on these guided meditations, and I have this beautiful music. Oh, I could entice you with one of these meditations and play it for you. It's so nice. But anyway, I was doing these guided meditations and I came across this royalty-free music, which was like really good for this. And so I already recorded the guided meditations, and I was recorded with a very good microphone, a very good microphone preamplifier, and it just sounds like amazing. Just amazing. Fantastic. And then we put this music on it, and the topic, what we're talking about, everything was just, I was getting so excited. This is going to be so nice. This is going to be so powerful. And I was doing these guided meditations without scripts. I would sit down, I'd think, things that I've thought about and talked about. Then I would just speak. And I would listen to it, and I would listen back. I'd say, that's amazing. That sounds scripted, like I wrote it out. And I was thinking, this is really nice. I can just do this, just do it, and do it once. And I didn't have to re-record anything, just talk. Because it's slow, so I talk, I pause, I can think. And so now I'm playing them back, putting the music on, listening to them, thinking, this is really good, and putting the music on and thinking how this is going to help so many people. And I'm getting all fired up, and I go, wow, I love doing this. I love creating things that are creative and that can help people go more deeply in their Krishna consciousness and are professionally done and are beautiful. And I got so inspired that I couldn't fall asleep till 2:30 in the morning. Seriously, I just came back. I was like, you ever had that? It was like, what were you doing in your studio? Drinking coffee? It was like, no, I'm just inspired. I wasn't drinking coffee. I'm just really inspired. It was like that. It was crazy. And I was thinking how important it is to find service that inspires you. Because then you won't have this problem being caught in between both worlds. You'll think, I love doing this, and I wouldn't want to do it for anyone other than Krishna. That's what's so beautiful about it. I love doing it, but I can do it for Krishna. So it's like, what could be better than that? You know? Isn't it? At least that's my experience. So I think this is really, really the key element for many, many devotees who are caught in two worlds of, I can't enjoy Maya and I can't enjoy Krishna. I'm just like totally depressed. Since I became Hare Krishna, I've become totally depressed. Why? Can't enjoy Maya. I read the books and I realized I can't enjoy Maya. I'm not advanced enough to enjoy Krishna. I'm just totally depressed. No. Of course, it's not actually like that exactly, but what Krishna Karshan is saying is true to some degree. When you get inspired by service, it's amazing. And I often think, I do many things, many things that, and some things I don't like to do, it just has to be done to support the services. But there's many things I do that I'm very inspired to do. And I think, I would not be inspired to do this if it wasn't for Prabhupada. I just wouldn't. It'd be like no fun. Like, why would I want to make a video about something that has nothing to do with anything important? But in the service of Prabhupada, it's like there's nothing greater. It's like, so it's double. It's like whipped cream. You know, doing what you like to do is like the ice cream, but doing it for Krishna is like the whipped cream and the chocolate sauce and the walnuts and the cherries and whatever else you like to put on. It's just like, it makes it taste so much better. You agree? Isn't it? So that's it. That's it. Get absorbed in serving Krishna in a way that inspires you. Okay, thank you for that question. Now, it's true. Those who have lots of sense gratification may seem happier, but when you oil your brain and turn the switches on, you realize birth, old age, disease, and death. Yeah. You know, maybe Trump will become a cockroach in the Trump Towers in his next life. I mean, you don't know. Did you hear that Trump, I guess he won't. He did devotional service. Did I tell that story? Did I tell you that story? In 1976 at Rath Yatra, they needed a spot to build the carts, and Trump had just bought a property. I think at that time he was 29 years old. He had bought a property, a railroad yard, and it was perfect to build the carts. And they went there, and they spoke to him. They gave him prasadam, and his secretary said, he's never going to let you do this. He never lets anybody do this. And after he took the prasadam, he says, sure, go ahead. So Trump has done devotional service. Oh my Govinda, is that amazing? He's not going to become a rat or a cockroach in Trump Towers. No way. It's not going to happen anymore. After he took the prasadam, he said, okay, they can have it. That was like one of the greatest stories I ever heard. I started to like Trump a little bit after that. It was not so bad. He did devotional service. And he took prasadam, and Prabhupada said, we should not vote for a president who has not taken prasadam. So it's only Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump have taken prasadam, and now she's not running. So you have to vote for Donald Trump now, because he's the only president that's taken prasadam. It's right there in Prabhupada's books. We will not vote for anyone unless they've taken prasadam. He's taken prasadam. You should vote for Donald Trump. Hare Krishna. And now it's going to be a big headline on Dandavats. Mahatma Prabhu is promoting voting for Donald Trump. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes. Isn't that amazing? Hare Krishna. So he's not going to be a rat, fortunately, or a cockroach. Not sure what he'll be, but he's done devotional service for Lord Jagannath. And then some devotee commented, he said, yes, it's probably why he became president, because he served Lord Jagannath. Who knows? Marco Mantovani says, In the modern society, death is a taboo and people don't want to talk about it. In this way, there's not a possibility to ask ourselves on the meaning of life. Yeah. The meaning of life is simple. Eat, drink, and be merry. You do know, and I'm going to tell you what you know. If we could have a vision of like a real human society of actually cultured, intelligent people, like that lived like 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, like what does a real human being look like? Then everything we're saying would like be so crystal clear because, Prabhupada says people are like animals. I'm like, no, not really. They're respectable, they're cultured, but not really entirely so respectable and cultured as we may think. Of course, some we know are not respectable and cultured, but Prabhupada's point, okay, respectable and cultured, some people, so many zeros, no one. But to actually meet real people, respectable, cultured people, spiritually elevated, will put things in an interesting perspective. Hare Krishna Ananga Manjari Devi. Okay, we have a new one from Marco. He's the master of the one-liner. Spiritual madness is the higher sobriety. Okay, that's a good one. You get 10 bonus points for that. If you have trouble getting back to Godhead, just tell them, I gave you 10 bonus points. That's pretty good. And English is not even his first language. Wow. What do they say? He's a wordsmith. Sangeet, yes. I said, isn't this interesting? And you said, Sangeeta said yes. And we got a yes from Preeti. So let's see if there's any more comments. Vijay Lakshmi says, most human endeavors are due to false ego and the lauding mentality, not for denial of death. Only the arrogant think he is immortal. I will live forever. My name is on the building. My name is on the street sign. They will recreate my consciousness in zeros and ones, and I will live forever. Excuse me. Okay. Sangeeta says, how to surrender with complete mind. I am practicing Casey, however, sometime I found so difficult not to watch drama and hearing non-devotional music. My heart knows it's not right, but my heart knows it's not right, but I am still doing it in a small amount, but it's not been able to give it up completely. I wake up early, 5 a.m. chanting, that's good, and here live, and sometimes when I miss classes, I don't feel like to hear all day long. If I do, I get told off by my family, but that's not the case. I'm also myself like watching drama. And how to give it up? Well, watch Krishna conscious drama. Read Bhagavatam, the real drama. Just replace your desire for drama. Read Mahabharata, Ramayana. Replace your desire for drama. You have a desire for drama. But look at Sangeeta. The material dramas you're looking, they all involve a boy and a girl falling in love, right? So what does that do for your Krishna consciousness? You think, I want to fall in love like them, I want to enjoy like them. Or you're watching somebody get shot or killed in some dramatic movie or getting beaten up like they do in the Bollywood movies. One guy beats up like 10 guys every second. And so, what's going in your head? What are you eating through your eyes? You have to think like that. Like when you eat, if you're conscious of health, you think, like, is this good for me? What's this going to do for me? Is this going to make me tired? Is this going to help me? So, Sangita, just realize you're eating through your eyes and ears. So what are you digesting? What are you putting in your head? And then the next morning you're chanting Hare Krishna. Before you even get the benefit of chanting, you got to wash out all the junk you put in the night before. Think it like that. So why would I want to watch some make-believe love story about a boy and a girl? All it does is excite my lust. But if I hear about Radha and Krishna, it purifies my lust. Why would I hear mundane music? Baby, I love you. It just excites lust. It makes me think, oh, I need to find a guy and enjoy, just like they did in the movie, just like the song is talking about. So why would you want to put that in your mind? Because it's like pouring dirt in your, mind. Just, ew. Okay, I finished my rounds. Okay, everything's good and clean. Time to pour some dirt inside. Okay, let's pour some dirt. Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Let's watch some dirt. Baby, I can't live without you. Like, why would you want to do that? It makes no sense, does it? That's why they have the word nonsense. No sense. Yeah. So here is the point. Everything we do, everything we see, everything we hear, everything we touch, it's all affecting us. So you want to hear, see, taste, smell, touch things that are going to help you become Krishna conscious. Because you're trying to be Krishna conscious. So it's like you have a sore and you're putting your antibacterial cream on the sore, and then you're putting your Band-Aid on it, you're putting your hydrogen peroxide on it, you're doing everything. And then after you do that, you get a hammer and you hit it. So like, why did you do that? I don't know. I know I shouldn't hit my thumb because it has a sore, but I just felt like it. This doesn't make any sense. So that's how you should think. And if that doesn't help you, let me know. Oh, so you have the video of Krishna Nandini? Fantastic. Is that what it is? No. Well, it's something else. Vaishnavi Manorupa Devi. Look at her face as she lays on her deathbed. Wow. Okay, we'll watch that. Fantastic. PC's ready to surrender. Okay, PC. Call me up. I'll tell you how to surrender. I have full confidence, to surrender, but why do I always have the mentality to test? Because the problem is, well, this will answer Sangita's question also, and the problem is we have a lot of practice in not surrendering. So it's just comfort zone. And surrender is kind of the unknown zone, so we're always fearful of the unknown, right? Yes or yes? It's just the whole, any problem you're having in your spiritual life is due to the fact that you've practiced not being Krishna conscious for many, many lives. So that's why that tendency is there. So, you have to consciously break that mentality. We're trying to break these habits. So it has to be something you work on consciously. We don't care about death. Strange, because it's one of the few certain things in life, yeah. Material life means to block out the miseries. If you want to be happy, make sure you don't observe the evils of birth, old age, disease, and death. Then you'll be fine. Shyamanandini Dasi says, how do we find our Dharma? When we're unsure. I'm going to make a video. Sometimes we need to do things that we don't like to do, such as studying, and when we rather do deity worship, cooking. But we don't get the time because we have the duty to perform. Yes. I think. Anyway, that's a big question. Different topic. Send me that question Facebook or WhatsApp. I'll give you an answer. I'll give you some answer. But we want to keep on this topic, and that, yeah, it requires a little explanation. The Game of Life, a book on Ramayana by Shubha Vilas Prabhu, makes interesting reading. Good for the intelligence. I know it's not right at all. I will try to practice as you mentioned. Thank you. Oh, Sangita, yeah. Sangita, another thought is, how many chapters of Bhagavatam could I read while I was watching that movie? And multiply that by a year, and you'll see, probably I could finish a third or quarter of the Bhagavatam, the whole thing, if I just didn't watch that movie. If I didn't do that, what could I do at that time? That's the question. Okay, Sangita is surrendered. Everything I say, she does. She's surrendered. Fantastic. I love you, Sangita. Don't we love people who do whatever we say? Don't we hate people who never do what we say? Yeah. So, Kaminiya says, there's so many nectarine classes online right now led by many exalted Vaishnavas. Surely we have no time now to watch everything else. Good point. There are more online classes now than ever. And there's not enough time in the day to watch them all. At least I'm speaking for myself. It is taking, it's a good point. Indraduma Swami gives class, I think 3 times a week. Bibi Govinda Swami, I think every day. He does kirtan online every day. So I've seen Satyananda Swami do some class. I mean, everybody's doing it. It's the perfect time to do it. So, this is the bad time to watch movies. Because every movie you watch, there's some class you're missing. Okay. So, I have 3 minutes left. And I think at least, okay, tomorrow, not tomorrow. Day after. Tomorrow is the class on balance. So Friday we're going to continue. We're going to start reading about what Prabhupada's talking about the spiritual world, the nature of that world. It's very interesting to really go into it because it's not like this world, but it is a world inconceivable in a sense. So, thank you for watching. Should we have a kirtan? We have 3 minutes. Should we have a kirtan? Should we end with a kirtan? Why don't we do that? Prabhupada used to end every class with a kirtan. Did you know that? He'd chant Jai Radha Madhava, and then he would end with the kirtan. So, why don't we end with the kirtan? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande. Still not in tune. Okay, one more time, everyone. Together. Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll see you tomorrow in our class on balance, and then Friday we'll continue beginning reading from about the spiritual world, the nature of the spiritual world, contrasting it to this world. And as we go in that discussion, we'll go from very basic to more esoteric. So as the class goes on, it's going to get more esoteric, but in the beginning we'll start with the basics of the spiritual world. Thank you. Nice being with you every day, and we're creating a mantra. We're going to create a mantra project webpage, and that's where all these guided meditations are going to go, and then we'll tell you about that. We'll keep you informed. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.